I found the phone in our bathroom trash, buried under wadded tissues and cotton balls. A cheap flip phone, the kind drug dealers use in movies. The kind people buy when they don't want to be found. My wife Amanda doesn't do drugs. She doesn't even drink wine without reading 3 articles about sulfites first. So why would she need a burner phone? The screen lit up when I pressed a button. No password. 47 text messages, all to one number. I scrolled to the beginning. Can't wait to see you Thursday. Wear that dress. Thinking about your mouth? Hotel booked. Room 412. My hands went numb. The phone clattered into the sink. Tyler? You okay in there? Amanda's voice drifted through the door, sweet and concerned. The same voice that had whispered, "I love you" this morning while handing me coffee. Yeah, just dropped something. My voice sounded normal, steady. How was that possible when my entire world had just inverted? I picked up the phone and kept reading. The messages went back 3 months. 3 months of Thursdays, apparently. 3 months of can't stop thinking about you and wish I could stay longer, and he has no idea. He. That was me. Tyler Brennan, the idiot husband who had no idea. I took photos of everything with my own phone. Every message, every date, every filthy detail spelled out in shorthand and emojis. Then I buried the burner phone exactly where I'd found it, tissues arranged the same way. When I opened the bathroom door, Amanda was folding laundry on our bed. Our bed, where we'd made love. No, where I'd made love to her, just 2 nights ago. She smiled at me, that familiar smile that crinkled her nose. Dinner in 20 minutes? I'm making your favorite? Sounds perfect. I watched her walk downstairs, her blonde ponytail swinging. 14 years of marriage, 2 kids, a mortgage, a life, all of it built on lies. I didn't confront her, not yet. Instead, I called in sick to work the next day, first time in 6 years. Amanda left for her job at the marketing firm at 8:30, same as always. She kissed my forehead, told me to rest, to drink plenty of fluids. I waited until her car disappeared around the corner. Then I went hunting. The burner phone was gone from the trash. Smart. But Amanda had always been smart. Valedictorian in high school, full ride to Northwestern. That's where we'd met, in an economics seminar our junior year. She'd destroyed my argument about supply-side theory, then agreed to get coffee with me. I'd thought I was the luckiest guy alive. Now I wondered if she'd been running long cons even then. Her laptop was password protected, but I knew the password. Our anniversary, 0614. The irony burned like acid. I opened her email, her social media, her cloud storage. Nothing. She was careful. But everyone makes mistakes. In her deleted photos folder, I found them. Not many. She'd been smart enough to purge most of them. But there were 3 she'd missed, probably because they were from 6 weeks ago. Amanda in a hotel bathroom mirror, wearing black lingerie I'd never seen. Amanda laughing in a restaurant I didn't recognize, the camera angle suggesting the photographer was sitting across from her. And one photo of just a man's hand on a steering wheel, wearing a watch that cost more than my car. I saved everything. Then I found her journal. Amanda had kept journals since college. Leather-bound books she filled with her neat, slanted handwriting. I'd never read them. Some part of me had always believed in privacy, in trust, in the sanctity of another person's thoughts. That part of me was dead now. The current journal was in her nightstand, under a stack of unread New Yorkers. I flipped to the most recent entry. April 18th. Saw D again today. I know I should stop, but I can't. Tyler is a good man, but he's so predictable, so safe. When D looks at me, I feel like I'm on fire, like I'm the only woman in the world. The guilt is eating me alive, but not enough to stop. Does that make me a terrible person? Maybe. Probably. But for 2 hours every Thursday, I get to be someone else. Someone exciting. Someone who takes risks. Tyler would never understand. He's content with his middle management job and his weekend golf games and his missionary position life. I love him, but I'm not in love with him anymore. Haven't been for years. Dee says he'll leave his wife if I leave Tyler. I don't know if I believe him. I don't know if I even want that. Right now, I just want Thursday to come faster. Asterisk. I read the entry 3 times. Each time the words cut deeper. Predictable. Safe. Missionary position life. I'd given this woman everything. I'd worked 60-hour weeks to pay off her student loans. I'd held her hand through 2 difficult pregnancies. I'd changed diapers at 3 in the morning and coached our son's little league team and never, not once, looked at another woman with anything more than passing appreciation. And I was the boring one, the safe one, the one not worth staying faithful to. I photographed every page of her journal from the last 6 months. Then I put everything back exactly as I'd found it. By the time Amanda got home that evening, I was on the couch watching television, a blanket pulled up to my chin, playing the sick husband perfectly. "How are you feeling?" She pressed her palm to my forehead. "Better," I said. "Much better." The note was wedged under the windshield wiper of Amanda's car. I spotted it Friday morning while taking out the recycling. A plain white envelope, sealed, no markings. Amanda's Honda sat in the driveway where she'd parked it Thursday night after her late meeting. I glanced at the kitchen window. She was making breakfast, her back to me. The envelope opened easily. Inside, a single sheet of printer paper, Times New Roman, 12-point font. "I know about Tuesday. $50,000 or I'll tell your husband. Instructions to follow." I read it 3 times standing there in my driveway, breath fogging in the November air. Tuesday. Not Thursday. Tuesday. The affair was on Thursdays. I had 3 months of texts proving it. Hotel rooms every Thursday at 2 o'clock, like clockwork. Amanda blocked those afternoons on her calendar as client meetings. But the note said Tuesday, and it was addressed to Amanda, threatening to tell her husband. I was her husband. Someone was blackmailing my wife. Someone who didn't know I already knew about the affair, or didn't care. Someone who knew about something that happened on a Tuesday. I folded the note, slipped it into my jacket pocket, and went back inside. "Coffee's ready," Amanda said, not looking up from her phone. "Thanks." I poured a cup. My hands were steady. That surprised me. 3 days ago, finding that burner phone had made them shake. Now I felt nothing. Or maybe I felt everything and had just learned to compress it into something manageable. "You feeling better?" she asked. "Much better." She smiled. That nose crinkle smile I'd fallen in love with 16 years ago. "Good. I was worried about you." "I know." I sipped my coffee and watched her scroll through Instagram, double-tapping photos of friends' kids and vacation destinations. Performing normalcy. We were both performing now. After she left for work, I went to my office and spread everything out on the desk. Printed screenshots of the texts. The photos from her laptop. Pages from her journal, photographed and printed. And now this note. I know about Tuesday. I opened her calendar on the shared family account. She'd been careful, nothing suspicious on Thursdays except those recurring client meetings. But Tuesdays were mostly clear. A few genuine appointments, grocery reminders, the kids' activities. I scrolled back through October, September, August. There. August 13th. A Tuesday. A single entry, added then deleted the same day. I could see it in the revision history. Lunch, 12:30. Just lunch. But she'd deleted it. I checked her credit card statements. August 13th, nothing unusual. Starbucks in the morning, gas station, grocery store, all normal. But someone knew about that Tuesday. Someone who thought it was worth $50,000. I needed more information. The burner phone was still in her nightstand. I'd checked it twice since Wednesday. She hadn't used it, hadn't even turned it on. Maybe she only powered it up on Thursdays before meeting him. Smart. Harder to track that way. But if there was a second secret, there might be a second phone. I started in the obvious places. Coat pockets, purse, gym bag. Nothing. I checked her car during lunch, going through the glove box, center console, under the seats. Clean. The garage was next. Storage bins, holiday decorations, camping equipment we hadn't used in 5 years. I went through everything methodically, the way I'd learned to do this week. Document, photograph, replace exactly as found. In a box labeled winter clothes, beneath 2 sweaters she never wore, I found a manila envelope. Inside, receipts. Hilton Garden Inn, August 13th. Room 412. Checked in at 12:47 p.m., checked out at 3:15 p.m. Nordstrom, August 13th, 11:23 a.m. $347.82. Another receipt from the same Nordstrom visit, separate transaction. Lingerie, $156. She'd bought new lingerie the morning of August 13th, then checked into a hotel for the afternoon. Not her usual Thursday hotel. Different chain, different part of town. I photographed everything, returned it all to the envelope, buried it back under the sweaters. 2 affairs, or one affair with 2 different days. But the texts only mentioned Thursdays, only referenced their regular Thursday meetings. Same time next week? Can't wait for Thursday. Counting the hours until I see you. Never a mention of Tuesdays, which meant either D didn't know about Tuesdays or Tuesday wasn't D. My wife was having 2 affairs, or she'd had one affair that ended, then started another. I sat in the garage for 10 minutes, breathing slowly, processing. The blackmailer knew about Tuesday but not Thursday. That suggested Tuesday was separate, maybe earlier. A different person who'd found out, who wanted money to stay quiet. But how did they get Amanda's address? How did they know to leave the note on her car? I went back inside and called my office. I'm still not feeling great. Going to work from home today. Sure, Tyler. Feel better. I wouldn't be working. I spent the afternoon building a timeline. Every credit card charge, every calendar entry, every suspicious deletion or gap. I cross-referenced her journal entries with dates and locations. The journal started in July. The first entry about D was July 18th. Met someone. I shouldn't feel this way, but God, I do. But the Nordstrom receipt was August 13th, and it didn't match her usual pattern with D. Their Thursday started in late July, according to the texts. The first hotel charge was July 25th. So August 13th was different, an anomaly. I kept digging. In her email, I'd gotten into her laptop while she showered Wednesday night, used her thumbprint while she slept. I found a deleted message from August 10th. From someone named Kevin Patterson. Subject line, Tuesday works. The message itself was gone, permanently deleted, not in trash. But the subject line remained in the metadata. Kevin Patterson. I ran the name through LinkedIn. 43 results in our metro area. I started scrolling through profiles. Third one down. Kevin Patterson, Regional VP of Sales at Brennan Industries. My company. He worked at my company. Different division, different floor, but same building. I'd probably passed him in the hallway 100 times. I clicked on his profile. Married. 2 kids. Smiled in his photo like he'd never done anything wrong in his life. I sat back in my chair. Amanda had slept with someone from my company, someone who saw me at work, who knew exactly who I was, whose wife I was sleeping next to every night? The rage came then, finally. Not the cold, analytical anger I'd been operating on, but something hotter, sharper. I wanted to put my fist through the monitor. Wanted to drive to the office and find Kevin Patterson and make him explain why he thought he could do this. But I didn't. I took 3 deep breaths and kept working. Kevin Patterson. Tuesday, August 13th. Hotel room for 3 hours. And now, someone was blackmailing Amanda about it. Which meant someone else knew. Someone who'd found out and wanted $50,000. I checked the note again. Instructions to follow. They hadn't told her how to pay yet. That would come next. Probably another note or maybe a burner phone number, some untraceable method. I needed to be there when it arrived. That evening, Amanda came home with takeout. Thai food from the place we used to go to when we were dating. "Thought we could use a nice dinner," she said. "You've been sick all week." That's sweet. We ate at the kitchen table. She told me about her day, about a difficult client, about office politics. I listened and nodded and asked appropriate questions. "How are you feeling?" she asked. "Really?" "Better every day." "Good." She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "I worry about you. You never take care of yourself." Her hand was warm. I remembered when that touch meant something. "I'm fine," I said. "Really?" After dinner, she went upstairs to take a bath. I heard the water running, heard her close the door. I went outside and checked her car. No new notes, but they'd be back. Blackmailers always came back. And when they did, I'd be waiting. The blackmailer's second note arrived Thursday morning. I'd been watching Amanda's car for 3 days, checking it before she woke up, during my lunch break, after she went to bed. Nothing. Then, Thursday, her usual day with D, I found it tucked under the driver's side wiper blade at 6:47 a.m. Same block letters. Same plain white paper. "Tomorrow, 2 p.m. parking lot behind Riverside Mall. Bring the money. Come alone, or I send everything to your husband." I photographed it with my phone, then slipped it back exactly where I'd found it. Amanda discovered it at 7:15, right before leaving for work. I watched from the kitchen window as she stood beside her car reading. Her shoulders went rigid. She looked around the driveway, the street, like the blackmailer might be watching. Smart. She folded the note and put it in her purse. When she came back inside, her face was composed. Perfectly normal. "Forgot my water bottle," she said, grabbing it from the counter. "Have a good day." "You too." She kissed my cheek. Her hand trembled slightly against my shoulder. I waited until her car disappeared down the street. Then I opened my laptop and pulled up our bank accounts. She'd been busy. Wednesday afternoon, she'd transferred $15,000 from our joint savings to her personal checking account. The memo line said, "Kitchen renovation deposit." We weren't renovating the kitchen. Wednesday evening, she'd withdrawn $5,000 in cash from an ATM near her office. This morning at 6:30 a.m., before she'd even found the second note, she'd made another $10,000 transfer. $30,000. She was scrambling, pulling from every account she could access without needing my signature. Our joint savings was down to $8,000. Her personal checking, usually around $3,000, now held $25,000. She was still $20,000 short. I checked her credit cards. She'd requested a cash advance limit increase on 2 of them Wednesday night. Both had been approved. Combined, they'd give her another $15,000. Still $5,000 short, but close enough. She'd probably plan to ask me for money, invent some emergency, a car repair, a medical bill, something I'd pay without question because I was Tyler, the good husband who trusted his wife. I opened a new browser window and logged into my personal account, the one she didn't have access to. The one I'd opened 15 years ago when we first got married, back when my father had told me to always keep something separate. Just in case, he'd said. I'd thought he was cynical. Turns out he was realistic. The account held $47,000. Money I'd been saving for the kids' college funds, for emergencies, for retirement. Money Amanda didn't know existed because I'd never needed to mention it. I transferred $50,000 from our home equity line of credit into my personal account. We'd opened the HELOC 2 years ago for actual renovations. We'd used $30,000 and left the rest available. Amanda had the paperwork somewhere but never checked it. Now my personal account held $97,000. I sat back and stared at the screen. Tomorrow at 2 p.m., Amanda would meet the blackmailer. She'd hand over whatever money she'd managed to scrape together, probably $45,000, maybe $48,000 if she maxed out the credit cards. She'd beg for more time to get the rest, and I'd be there watching. Not to save her, not to intervene, to see who was blackmailing my wife. Thursday unfolded like every other Thursday for the past 3 months. Amanda came home at 5:30, showered immediately, made dinner. We ate with the kids. She helped our daughter with homework while I loaded the dishwasher. We watched an hour of television. At 9:45, she said she was tired and went upstairs. At 10:30, I followed. She was already in bed, reading on her phone. I brushed my teeth, changed into sleep clothes, climbed in beside her. Big day tomorrow? I asked. She looked over. Just the usual, couple of client meetings. She set her phone on the nightstand, rolled toward me, put her hand on my chest. Tyler? Yeah? Do you ever think about, I don't know, taking a risk, doing something spontaneous? I looked at her. Her face was serious, searching. What kind of risk? I don't know. Something unexpected. Something that makes you feel alive. The journal entry flashed through my mind. He makes me feel alive in a way I'd forgotten was possible. Tyler is steady, reliable, safe. But safe isn't the same as happy. I feel alive, I said. I know, I just mean... She trailed off. Never mind, forget it. She kissed me. Soft at first, then harder. Her hand moved down my stomach. I let her. Kissed her back. Touched her the way I'd touched her for 14 years. When it was over, she curled against my side and fell asleep within minutes. I stared at the ceiling until 2 a.m. Friday morning, I told my boss I had a dentist appointment and left work at 1:15. Riverside Mall was 20 minutes from my office, 30 from Amanda's. The parking lot behind it serviced a row of outlet stores that had gone out of business 2 years ago. Chain link fence, cracked asphalt, weeds pushing through the concrete. A few cars scattered around, probably belonging to mall employees who parked back here for free. I arrived at 1:35 and parked at the far end, nose out, with a clear view of the entire lot. At 1:50, a black Honda Civic pulled in and parked in the middle of the empty space. Tinted windows. I couldn't see inside. At 1:58, Amanda's car turned into the lot. She parked 3 spaces away from the Civic. Sat there for a moment. Then got out, carrying a large canvas shopping bag. The Civic's driver door opened. Kevin Patterson stepped out. I stopped breathing. Kevin Patterson. Regional VP. The man who'd emailed Amanda about Tuesday. The man whose name I'd found in her deleted emails. He wasn't her lover. He was her blackmailer. Amanda walked toward him, clutching the bag. They stood 6 feet apart, not speaking at first. Then Amanda held out the bag. Kevin took it, unzipped it, looked inside. Even from 50 yards away, I could see Amanda's posture. Shoulders hunched, head down. Defeated. Kevin said something. Amanda shook her head. He said something else, louder. She nodded. He zipped the bag and turned back toward his car. That's when Amanda's phone rang. She pulled it from her pocket, looked at the screen, answered. Hello? Her face changed. confusion, then shock. What? No, I'm not at work. She looked at Kevin. He'd stopped, was watching her. I don't understand. What do you mean you need to reschedule? We never had. She went silent, listening. Then she lowered the phone and stared at Kevin. You're not Dee, she said. Kevin smiled. No. Then how did you know about Tuesday? He hefted the bag. I know about Thursday too. And I know about the journal you keep in your nightstand. The one where you write about how boring your husband is. Amanda's face went white. I know everything, Amanda. Every hotel, every lie, every text message you think you deleted. He opened his car door. This is just the first payment. I'll be in touch about the next one. Next one? We agreed. We agreed to nothing. You'll pay what I ask, when I ask. Or Tyler gets a very detailed email. He got in the Civic and drove away. Amanda stood in the empty parking lot, alone, still holding her phone. Then she bent forward and vomited onto the asphalt. I watched her straighten up, wipe her mouth with the back of her hand, walk slowly back to her car. She sat in the driver's seat for 10 minutes before starting the engine. I waited until she'd left the parking lot. Then I pulled out my phone and opened the tracking app I'd installed on her car last week. The blue dot moved north on Riverside, then east on Hamilton. Not toward her office, not toward home. Toward the Grandview Hotel, where she was supposed to meet Dee at 3 p.m., same as every Thursday. I put my car in drive and followed the blue dot. I sat in the parking garage of the Grandview Hotel with the engine off, watching Amanda's Lexus 2 rows over. She'd arrived at 4:47 p.m., 17 minutes ago, and hadn't emerged. The Thursday meeting. The one Kevin Patterson didn't know about. The one that made his blackmail incomplete. The burner phone sat in my cup holder. I'd charged it that morning while Amanda showered. 3 months of Thursdays documented in those messages. Miss you already. Can't wait until next week. Always signed with a single letter. D. My phone buzzed. Work email. Janet from accounting asking about quarterly reports. I deleted it without reading past the subject line. A silver Mercedes pulled into a spot near the elevator. I straightened, hand moving to the door handle. But an elderly couple emerged, the man helping his wife with her purse. They shuffled toward the lobby entrance. Amanda had been inside for 19 minutes now. Long enough to check in. Long enough to take the elevator up. Long enough to knock on a door and be pulled inside by someone who wasn't her husband. I'd imagined this moment differently when I first found the burner phone. Thought I'd kick down the door. Drag her out by her hair. Make a scene that would burn into her memory forever. But that was before Kevin Patterson. Before I understood that Amanda's secrets had layers and that other people were already exploiting them. The smart play was to wait. Document. Build the case until it was airtight. I pulled out my own phone and opened the camera app. 23 minutes. The parking garage was quiet except for the distant hum of traffic on the street below. A car alarm chirped somewhere on another level. I checked the burner phone again, scrolling back through the messages. Room 847. Same as always. That was from last Thursday. Before Kevin's blackmail note. Before Amanda had scrambled to pull together money she didn't have. Had she told Dee about the blackmail? The journal entries never mentioned it, but I'd stopped reading after Tuesday night. Maybe she'd written something new. Maybe she'd confided in her Thursday lover about her Tuesday mistake. The elevator doors opened. I sank lower in my seat. A businessman in a gray suit emerged, pulling a roller bag. He loaded it into a Honda and drove away. The garage returned to silence. 31 minutes. My hands were cramping. I flexed them, realizing I'd been gripping the steering wheel. The leather was warm and slightly damp from my palms. What was I doing here? I already had everything I needed. The texts, the photos, the journal entries spelling out her contempt for our marriage in her own handwriting. I had Kevin Patterson's name and his extortion scheme documented. I had Amanda's desperate scramble for cash on video. But I didn't have D. The elevator opened again. This time, Amanda stepped out, alone. She walked quickly, heels clicking on the concrete, purse clutched against her side. Her face was flushed. Her hair, pulled back in a ponytail when she'd arrived, hung loose around her shoulders. I raised my phone and started recording. She reached her car, fumbled with her keys, dropped them. When she bent to pick them up, I saw her hands were shaking. She got the door open on the second try and slid inside. For a moment, she just sat there, forehead pressed against the steering wheel. Then her shoulders started moving. Small, rhythmic movements. She was crying. I kept recording. 30 seconds. 45. A full minute of my wife sobbing in her car after spending the afternoon with another man. Finally, she sat up, wiped her face with her hands, and checked herself in the rearview mirror. She fixed her hair, reapplied lipstick. The transformation took less than 2 minutes. By the time she started her engine, she looked exactly like she had that morning at breakfast. Smart. Her Lexus backed out and headed for the exit ramp. I waited until she'd turned onto the street before starting my own car. The elevator. Room 847. I could go up right now, knock on the door. See who answered. Put a face to the initial that had consumed my wife's attention for 3 months. But if D saw me, the advantage disappeared. Amanda would know I'd followed her. She'd realize I knew about the Thursdays, not just the Tuesday with Kevin. She'd lawyer up, get defensive, start hiding evidence I hadn't found yet. Number. Better to let her think she was still in control. I drove home, taking the long route, giving Amanda time to arrive first. When I pulled into our driveway at 6:23 p.m., her car was already there. Lights were on in the kitchen. Through the window, I could see her moving around, probably starting dinner. The front door was unlocked. I found her at the stove, stirring something in a pot. She'd changed clothes, yoga pants and a loose sweater instead of the dress she'd worn to the hotel. Her hair was back in the ponytail. "Hey," she said without turning around. "How was your day?" "Long meeting with distribution. Jerry's worried about the winter inventory." She tasted whatever she was cooking, added salt. "I picked up that wine you like, the one from last month." "Thanks." She glanced over her shoulder, smiled. The same smile she'd given me this morning. The same smile she'd probably given D 2 hours ago. "Dinner in 20 minutes? Sounds good?" I went upstairs to change. Our bedroom looked exactly as it had that morning. Bed made. Her nightstand clear except for a lamp and a coaster. The journal was in her car, locked in the glove box. I'd checked 3 days ago while she was in the shower. My laptop sat on the desk in the corner. I opened it and uploaded the parking garage video to the cloud folder I'd created. 47 files now. Enough to fill a courtroom. Enough to ensure she got nothing. The printer hummed to life. I'd been making physical copies of everything, storing them in a locked box at my office. Digital evidence could be deleted, hacked, lost. Paper was permanent. While the video processed, I pulled up the photos from her deleted folder that I'd recovered. The hand with the expensive watch. The hotel room window showing a city view. The champagne bottle on the nightstand. I zoomed in on the watch, studying the details. Rolex. Submariner model, based on the bezel. Retail price around $15,000. D had money. More than Kevin Patterson, who drove a 3-year-old Audi and wore a Fossil watch. More than me, with my Timex and my 10-year-old sedan. Was that what she wanted? What made Thursday worth risking 14 years of marriage? The journal had an answer. He makes me feel alive. Like I'm not just someone's wife or someone's mother. Like I'm still me. As if being married to me had erased her. As if our life together was a prison sentence she'd been serving. My phone buzzed. Text from Amanda downstairs. Dinner's ready. I closed the laptop and headed down. She'd set the table. 2 plates, 2 wine glasses, cloth napkins. The pot from the stove sat on a trivet between us, some kind of pasta dish with vegetables. She served me first, then herself. How's the Patterson project going? She asked, reaching for her wine. I watched her carefully. No reaction to the name, no hesitation. Fine. He's been out of the office a lot this week. Haven't seen him much. Probably busy with quarter-end stuff. She twirled pasta on her fork. Everyone at my office is scrambling too. You've been working late a lot. I know. I'm sorry. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Her palm was warm and dry. It should calm down after next week. Maybe we could do something. Just the 2 of us? Like what? I don't know. Dinner somewhere nice? That Italian place you like? Her thumb traced circles on my knuckles. I feel like we haven't really connected lately. I looked at her hand on mine. The same hand that had touched D this afternoon. The same hand that had written Tyler's a good man, but he's not enough in her journal. That sounds nice, I said. She smiled. Genuine, warm, like she meant it. Like she wasn't actively destroying everything we'd built. It's a date. We ate in comfortable silence. She asked about my day. I asked about hers. She told me about a difficult client and a presentation that went well. Normal conversation, marriage conversation. The kind we'd had 1,000 times before. Except now I knew she was lying. About where she'd been. About what she wanted. About who she was. After dinner, she loaded the dishwasher while I wiped down the counters. Domestic choreography perfected over 14 years. She hummed while she worked, something she always did when she was in a good mood. The affair made her happy. Both of them. Tuesday's mistake with Kevin and Thursday's romance with Dee, they filled something in her that I apparently couldn't. My phone buzzed again. Email this time. The subject line made me pause. Reconsultation request. I'd sent it Tuesday night after discovering Kevin's identity. The response was brief and professional. Available Monday 9 a.m. Please bring all documentation. Robert Walsh, Walsh and Associates. I deleted the email and pocketed my phone. Everything okay? Amanda asked, drying her hands on a towel. Just work stuff. You've been stressed lately. She moved closer, wrapped her arms around my waist from behind. Her chin rested on my shoulder. Maybe you should take a day off. We could both call in sick tomorrow. Stay in bed all day. Her breath was warm against my neck, her body pressed against my back. An invitation, an offer of intimacy from a woman who'd been intimate with at least 2 other men in the past month. Can't, I said. Jerry needs those inventory numbers by noon. Rain check? Sure. She kissed my cheek and let go. I'm going to take a bath. Want to watch something later? Maybe. I have some emails to finish. She headed upstairs. I heard the bathroom door close, then the sound of water running. I pulled out my phone and opened the cloud folder. 47 files. Soon to be 48 once the parking garage video finished uploading. Monday morning. 9 a.m. Robert Walsh would see everything. And then the real work would begin. The weekend crawled by like a wounded animal. Amanda spent Saturday afternoon at the kitchen table with her laptop, working on what she claimed was a client presentation. I watched her from the living room, pretending to read the news on my tablet. Every few minutes she'd glance toward the hallway, then back at her screen. Her shoulders stayed tight. She was checking her accounts, making sure the $50,000 was really gone. You okay? I asked. She looked up, startled. What? Yeah. Just this pitch for Monday, it's a mess. You've been staring at the same screen for 20 minutes. Her laugh sounded like breaking glass. That obvious? I think I need more coffee. She got up, walked to the kitchen. I listened to her fill the kettle, heard the cabinet open and close. Normal sounds, domestic sounds. The soundtrack of 14 years together. All of it performance now. Sunday morning, she suggested we take the kids to the park. I agreed. We loaded Emma and Jake into the car, drove to Riverside Park, watched them run toward the playground. Amanda sat beside me on the bench, close enough that our shoulders almost touched. "This is nice," she said. "Yeah. We should do this more often, as a family." I nodded. Kept my eyes on Jake climbing the jungle gym. She was trying to feel normal. Trying to convince herself that paying off Kevin had solved her problem. That she could go back to her double life. Thursdays with Dee, home with me the rest of the week, everything compartmentalized and controlled. She had no idea Kevin wouldn't stop at 50,000. She had no idea I'd watch the entire transaction. She had no idea about the meeting I had tomorrow morning at 9. "Tyler," I turned to her. "I love you," she said. "You know that, right?" The words hung between us. Emma's laughter carried across the playground. A dog barked somewhere behind us. "I know," I said. Monday morning arrived with clear skies. I told Amanda I had an early meeting with corporate. She barely looked up from her phone, just nodded and said something about her own busy day. I watched her in the bathroom mirror as she applied mascara, the same focused expression she always wore. Her reflection showed nothing. No guilt, no fear, no acknowledgement of what she'd done. Smart. I left the house at 8:15. The drive to Robert Walsh's office took 20 minutes. The building was downtown, one of those converted warehouses with exposed brick and floor-to-ceiling windows. His firm occupied the 3rd floor. The receptionist led me to a conference room. Walsh was already there, a man in his mid-50s with salt and pepper hair and reading glasses perched on his nose. He stood when I entered, shook my hand with a firm grip. "Mr. Brennan, please, sit." I sat. Placed the folder on the table between us. 3 months of documentation. Every text message from the burner phone. Every photo. Pages from Amanda's journal, photographed with my phone. The hotel receipts. The lingerie purchases. Bank statements showing the $50,000 withdrawal. And the video. Kevin taking the envelope. Amanda driving to the Grandview Hotel, entering at 7:47 p.m., not leaving until 11:23 p.m. Walsh opened the folder. Started reading. The room was quiet except for the sound of pages turning. He took his time, methodical and thorough. Occasionally he'd pause, make a note on his legal pad, then continue. His expression never changed. After 20 minutes, he looked up. "How long have you known?" "Since last Monday, 8 days." "And you haven't confronted her?" "No." He nodded, closed the folder. "You understand what you have here?" "I do." The affair itself is one thing. In this state, we're no fault, so infidelity doesn't directly impact the divorce settlement. But this, he tapped the folder, shows financial deception. She withdrew $50,000 from your joint accounts without your knowledge or consent. That matters. She was being blackmailed. By someone from your workplace. Kevin Patterson, Regional VP. Walsh made another note. "Have you contacted your HR department?" "Not yet." "Do it today. What he's doing is extortion. It's criminal. But it also protects you. Shows you had no knowledge of any of this, that you're a victim of both your wife's deception and your colleague's criminal behavior." I nodded. Felt something cold settle in my chest. "The documentation is thorough," Walsh continued. "Text messages, financial records, photographic evidence, video. You've built a strong case. With this, we can push for a favorable settlement. potentially full custody of the children, given her behavior and judgment. The house, the majority of assets. What about her? What about her? What does she get? Walsh leaned back in his chair, studied me for a moment. Mr. Brennan, your wife conducted multiple affairs, spent marital funds on hotels and lingerie for her extramarital activities, and then withdrew $50,000 to pay off a blackmailer, all without your knowledge. In the eyes of the court, she's demonstrated profound financial irresponsibility and moral turpitude. She'll get what the law requires, but it won't be much. The words should have felt like victory. They felt like ash. When do we start? I asked. I'll file the papers today. She'll be served within 48 hours. He paused. You should prepare yourself. Once she's served, everything changes. She'll be angry. She'll make promises, accusations. She might try to turn this around on you. Let her try. Walsh smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. One more thing. This second affair partner, D, do you want to pursue identifying them? I thought about room 847, the man I hadn't seen, the expensive watch, the careful scheduling, the 3 months of Thursday nights. No, I said. It doesn't matter who he is. All right, I'll be in touch later today to confirm the filing. We shook hands again. I left the conference room, rode the elevator down to street level, walked out into the morning sunlight. My phone buzzed. A text from Amanda. Don't forget we need milk. Can you grab some on your way home? I stared at the message. The mundane request, the casual tone. She was at work right now, probably in a meeting or at her desk, texting me about groceries while having no idea that in a few hours, divorce papers would be filed. That her entire life was about to collapse. I typed back, sure. I went to work, sat through a department meeting about quarterly projections, responded to emails, had lunch at my desk, a sandwich from the cafeteria that tasted like cardboard. At 2:30, I walked to HR. The director, Michelle Porter, was a woman in her early 40s who'd been with the company for 15 years. She listened as I explained the situation, carefully, clinically, showing her the video of Kevin accepting the envelope, explaining that my wife was being extorted by a company executive. Her face went pale. You're certain it's Kevin Patterson? I have video evidence. And you're saying he's blackmailing your wife over an affair? An affair she had with someone else. Kevin found out about it somehow. He's been extorting her for money. Michelle was quiet for a long moment. Then she picked up her phone, pressed a button. I need you to come to my office immediately. Yes, now. 10 minutes later, the company's legal counsel arrived. I went through it again, showed the video again. They asked questions. I answered them. Kept my voice steady, my facts straight. We'll need to investigate this, the legal counsel said. But if what you're saying is true, Mr. Patterson will be terminated immediately. This is a serious criminal matter. I understand. We'll also need to involve the police. I nodded, had expected this. Mr. Brennan, Michelle said carefully, I'm sorry you're going through this. Both the situation with your wife and the situation with Kevin. If you need time off. I don't, she blinked. Are you sure? This is a lot to process. I'm sure. What I didn't tell her, I needed to be here. Needed to maintain normalcy. Needed to be the reliable employee, the good man, the victim of circumstances beyond his control. I left HR at 4:15. Stopped at the grocery store on the way home, bought milk like Amanda had asked. Pulled into the driveway at 5:30. Amanda's car was already there. I found her in the kitchen, chopping vegetables for dinner. She looked up when I entered, smiled. Hey, you got the milk? I held up the carton. Perfect. How was your day? Fine. Yours? Busy. The Peterson account is being difficult. She went back to chopping. Dinner will be ready in about 30 minutes. I set the milk in the refrigerator. Watched her work. Her hands were steady on the knife, her movements efficient and practiced. She had no idea what was coming. Tomorrow, or the day after, a process server would arrive at her office, would hand her an envelope containing divorce papers and a motion for full custody. She'd open it, read it, and her carefully constructed world would detonate. But tonight, she was making dinner. Tonight, we were still married. Need any help? I asked. She glanced over her shoulder. You could set the table? Sure. I got plates from the cabinet, silverware from the drawer, set 4 places at the kitchen table. Emma and Jake would be home from their after-school program soon. We'd eat dinner together. Maybe watch something on TV afterward. One last normal evening. Amanda hummed while she cooked, some song I didn't recognize, the kitchen filled with the smell of garlic and onions. Outside, the sun was starting to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Beautiful. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from Walsh. Papers filed. Service scheduled for tomorrow, 2 p.m. at her workplace. I deleted the message. Tyler? Amanda was looking at me. You okay? You seem distracted. Just tired. Long day? Something like that. She walked over, stood close, put her hand on my arm. Well, relax. Dinner's almost ready, and tomorrow's a new day. I looked at her hand on my arm. Her wedding ring caught the light. Yeah, I said. It is. The conference room had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the parking lot. I'd chosen this office specifically for that reason. 3rd floor, clear sightline to the main entrance. I'd been sitting here for 20 minutes, pretending to review quarterly reports while watching the front doors. My phone buzzed. Walsh's assistant. Process server just arrived. I checked my watch. 2:47 p.m. Amanda would be at her desk, probably responding to emails or sitting in on some marketing strategy call. She had no idea that in about 3 minutes, her entire world would detonate. I should have felt something. Anticipation, maybe. Dread. Even satisfaction. Instead, I felt nothing. Just the same hollow numbness that had settled into my chest since I'd found that burner phone 4 days ago. The process server was a woman in her 50s, carrying a leather portfolio. Professional. Discreet. She disappeared into the building across the street. Amanda's building. I'd timed this carefully. Tuesday afternoon, when Kevin Patterson would be in his weekly operations meeting. I wanted Amanda to receive those papers without him lurking nearby, without the chance for them to coordinate their stories. My phone rang. Office line. Tyler Brennan. Mr. Brennan, this is Jennifer from HR. Do you have a moment? I'd been expecting this call. Of course. We need to discuss the complaint you filed yesterday regarding Kevin Patterson. Can you come down to the main office? We have some follow-up questions. I'll be right there. I stood, gathering my things. Through the window, I could see Amanda's building. Somewhere in there, a stranger was handing my wife divorce papers. Somewhere in there, Amanda was reading words like irreconcilable differences and division of assets, and realizing that I knew. Not everything. Not yet. But enough. The HR office was on the 1st floor, tucked away in a corner that always smelled faintly of coffee and printer toner. Jennifer Hartley sat behind her desk, a younger guy in a suit beside her. He introduced himself as Brian Cole, legal counsel. Smart. They were taking this seriously. Mr. Brennan, Jennifer began. We've reviewed your complaint against Mr. Patterson. These are serious allegations: extortion, harassment, abuse of company resources. They're documented. I'd given them everything. Screenshots of Kevin in the parking lot, timestamps, the license plate of his car. Not the context, not the affair, not Amanda. Just enough to show he was engaging in blackmail. Brian leaned forward. The evidence you provided shows Mr. Patterson meeting someone in a parking lot and receiving what appears to be an envelope. Can you explain how you know this constitutes extortion? I'd prepared for this. I overheard him on a phone call last week. He was in the break room, thought he was alone. He said something about first payment and keeping quiet. I recognized his voice. When I saw him collecting money in that parking lot, I put it together. Plausible. Vague enough that they couldn't verify it, specific enough to sound credible. Jennifer made a note. Did you hear who he was speaking to? No, he was using earbuds. And you didn't think to report this immediately? I wasn't sure what I'd heard. I wanted to be certain before making an accusation. Brian exchanged a glance with Jennifer. We'll need to interview Mr. Patterson. This may take some time to investigate fully. I understand. In the meantime, Jennifer said carefully, we're going to separate you two. You'll report directly to Rachel Torres in the Northern Division. No interaction with Mr. Patterson until this is resolved. Perfect, I nodded. Whatever you need. My phone started ringing the moment I left the building. Amanda. I let it go to voicemail, drove 3 blocks, pulled into a grocery store parking lot, waited. She called again. Then again. On the 4th call, I answered. Tyler. Her voice was shaking. Tyler, something happened. Someone just... What's wrong? I kept my voice steady, concerned. The good husband. I got served. Divorce papers. Tyler, this doesn't make any sense. I don't understand. Divorce papers? Yes. At work, in front of everyone, this woman just handed me this envelope and she was crying now. Full sobs. Tyler, please, I don't know what's happening. Did someone steal your identity? Is this some kind of mistake? I let the silence stretch. Let her panic fill the space. It's not a mistake, Amanda. More silence. I could hear her breathing, ragged and wet. What? The divorce is real. I filed on Monday. Tyler, Why would you... We didn't even fight. We haven't... I know about Kevin. The crying stopped. Just like that. The line went so quiet I thought she'd hung up. Amanda? I don't know what you're talking about. Her voice had changed. Flatter. Defensive. Kevin Patterson, Tuesdays. The Grandview Hotel. $50,000. I heard something crash in the background. A mug, maybe? Or a phone hitting a desk. Tyler, please, let me explain. You paid him $50,000 to keep quiet. Our money, Amanda. Money we've been saving for Emma's college fund. You gave it to your boyfriend so he wouldn't tell me you were sleeping with him. He's not my... It wasn't like that, Tyler, please. I saw the texts. I saw the photos. I know everything. Where are you? Her voice had gone sharp. We need to talk about this face to face. You can't just... I'm exactly where I need to be. Tyler, please, the kids are staying with my parents this week. They're fine. You planned this. Accusation now. Anger breaking through the panic. You've been planning this. How long have you known? Does it matter? Yes, it matters. If you knew, why didn't you say something? Why did you just... She choked on whatever she was about to say. Why did you let me think everything was fine? I almost laughed. You mean like you've been doing for 3 months? That's not... It's different. How? Because I never wanted to hurt you. I never wanted any of this to happen. But it did happen. You made it happen. Every Tuesday for 3 months, you made a choice. Tyler, the attorney's information is in the papers. Direct all communication through him. You can't just... We have 14 years together. We have children. You can't just throw that away because of one mistake. One mistake. I repeated the words slowly, tasting them. You're calling 3 months of deliberately lying to me, sleeping with my colleague, and then paying him blackmail money one mistake? I was going to end it. I was trying to figure out how to... You were trying to figure out how to keep him quiet. That's what the 50,000 was for. He threatened me. He said he'd tell you, tell everyone at work, ruin my career. So you paid him, with our money. I didn't know what else to do. I closed my eyes, listened to her breathing on the other end of the line. Somewhere in that breathing was the woman I'd married 14 years ago. The woman who'd cried at our wedding, who'd held my hand in the delivery room, who'd laughed at my terrible jokes and fallen asleep on my shoulder during movies. That woman was gone. Maybe she'd never existed at all. Goodbye, Amanda. Tyler, wait. I hung up. The phone immediately started ringing again. I turned it off, sat in the parking lot, watched people push shopping carts full of groceries to their cars. Normal people doing normal things. Going home to normal lives. My phone buzzed. I'd turned off calls but left texts enabled. Walsh. Heard from opposing counsel yet? Not yet, I typed back. But soon. Another text, this one from an unknown number. This is Amanda, using my work phone. Please, just talk to me. 5 minutes. I deleted it. Then another. I know you're angry. You have every right to be, but please don't do this. Not like this. Delete. The kids need both their parents. Delete. I love you. I stared at that one for a long moment before deleting it too. My phone rang. Different number. I answered. Mr. Brennan? This is Catherine Mills. I'm representing Amanda Brennan. I understand you filed for divorce. Fast. Amanda had found an attorney in less than an hour. That's correct. My client would like to discuss the possibility of reconciliation. Perhaps marriage counseling? No? Mr. Brennan, I understand emotions are running high, but in cases like these, tell your client to read the settlement terms. She can accept them or we can go to court. Those are the options. These terms are extremely one-sided. You're asking for primary custody, the house, and the majority of assets. I'm asking for what I'm entitled to under state law when one spouse commits adultery and dissipates marital assets. Silence on the other end. Then, we'll be in touch. She hung up. I sat there, engine running, heat blasting. My hands were shaking. Not from fear or sadness, from rage. 3 months. 3 months of lies. Of watching her kiss me goodbye before meeting Kevin. Of listening to her talk about her day while she deleted text messages. 3 months of sleeping beside her in our bed, making love to her, planning our future together. All of it performance. All of it built on nothing. My phone buzzed again. Walsh. Catherine Mills just called me. She wants to negotiate. Letter, I typed back. She mentioned reconciliation. Not interested. Good. Stay strong. This is when they try to manipulate you emotionally. I didn't need the warning. Whatever I'd felt for Amanda had died the moment I'd seen those texts. What remained wasn't love or even hate. Just cold, methodical resolve. She'd made her choices. Now she'd live with the consequences. The divorce took 8 months to finalize. Amanda fought it at first. Her attorney filed motions, requested mediation, tried every angle to delay or derail the process. Catherine Mills was good, expensive, and aggressive. But Walsh was better, and I had something Mills didn't. Documentation that couldn't be explained away. Kevin Patterson was arrested in late November. The company investigation had uncovered not just the extortion of Amanda, but 2 other cases. A junior accountant he'd pressured for money after discovering she'd falsified an expense report, and a contractor who'd paid him $12,000 to overlook safety violations. He took a plea deal. 18 months in minimum security, restitution, permanent record. His wife divorced him before the sentencing hearing. I felt nothing when I heard. He was just collateral damage in someone else's story. Amanda's attorney tried to use Kevin's arrest to her advantage. argued that Amanda was a victim of his manipulation, that the $50,000 was paid under duress, that she deserved sympathy rather than punishment. Walsh dismantled that argument in one afternoon. The hotel receipts predated Kevin's blackmail by 2 weeks. Amanda had initiated the affair, continued it willingly, and only paid Kevin to protect her secret, not because she felt threatened. The judge wasn't sympathetic. In March, we reached a settlement. I got the house, primary custody of Emma and Jake, and 70% of our combined assets. Amanda got her car, her retirement account, and every other weekend with the kids. She was also responsible for half of Kevin's restitution. The judge ruled that since she'd participated in the circumstances that led to the extortion, she bore partial financial responsibility. Her attorney called it draconian. Walsh called it justice. I called it over. The day the divorce was finalized, I took Emma and Jake to the park. Same park where Amanda and I had sat 8 months earlier, where she'd told me she loved me while planning her next Thursday with Dee. I never did find out who Dee was. Never went back to the Grandview Hotel, never knocked on room 847. It didn't matter. Whoever he was, he disappeared from Amanda's life the moment the divorce papers were served. Either she'd ended it, or he'd gotten smart and run. Dad? Emma was on the swings, pumping her legs. Can we get ice cream after this? Sure, sweetheart. Jake was building something in the sandbox. A castle, maybe, or a fort. He'd been quiet since the divorce, spending more time alone in his room. The therapist said it was normal. That kids process trauma differently than adults. That he'd be okay eventually. I hoped she was right. Higher, Dad, Emma called. I pushed her swing, watched her arc up toward the sky, heard her laugh. That sound, pure and uncomplicated, was the first thing that had felt real in months. Amanda had moved to an apartment across town. Small, 1-bedroom, the kind of place young professionals rent before they get married and buy houses. She'd taken a demotion at work. The affair had become office gossip, and her reputation never recovered. Last I heard, she was working in a different division, keeping her head down, trying to rebuild. I didn't ask for details, didn't care. Every other Friday, she picked up the kids at 6. Every other Sunday, she dropped them off. We didn't speak beyond logistics. Emma needs new shoes. Jake has a dentist appointment Tuesday. The conversations lasted 30 seconds, conducted on doorsteps, never crossing the threshold into what used to be our shared life. Professional, efficient, dead. 1 year after I found the burner phone, I sold the house. Too many ghosts. Too many rooms that still smelled like her perfume. Too many corners where I'd catch myself expecting to see her. Emma cried when I told her we were moving. Jake just nodded, like he'd been expecting it. We moved to a smaller place in a better school district. 3 bedrooms, a yard big enough for a dog. I let the kids pick out paint colors for their rooms. Emma chose purple. Jake chose blue. My room stayed white, blank, neutral, a canvas I wasn't ready to fill yet. The therapist I'd started seeing in April said I was processing grief. That even though I'd been the one to file, even though Amanda had betrayed me, I was still mourning the loss of what I'd thought my life would be. Maybe she was right. Or maybe I was just tired. 2 years later, Emma asked me if I was ever going to date again. We were having breakfast, Saturday morning, pancakes, the routine we'd established in the new house. Jake was still asleep. Emma was 12 now, perceptive in ways that sometimes startled me. Why do you ask? She shrugged, pushing blueberries around her plate. Mom has a boyfriend. I kept my expression neutral. Does she? Yeah, his name is Greg. He's okay, I guess. Kinda boring. Well, your mom's allowed to date. We're not married anymore. I know, she looked up at me. But you never do. Date, I mean. Don't you get lonely? Honest question. She deserved an honest answer. Sometimes, I said. But I have you and Jake. That's enough for now. That's sad, Dad. I smiled. It's not sad. It's just where I am right now. She seemed to accept that. Went back to her pancakes. But the question stayed with me. Was I lonely? Yes. But loneliness was safer than trust. Loneliness didn't lie to you, didn't betray you, didn't make you feel like a fool for believing in something that was never real. I'd built a good life in the wreckage. Stable job, healthy kids, a house that felt like home. I coached Jake's soccer team. I helped Emma with her math homework. I had friends, hobbies, a routine that worked. It wasn't the life I'd planned, but it was mine, and nobody could take it from me. 3 years after the divorce, I ran into Amanda at Jake's school play. I saw her first, sitting 3 rows ahead, next to a man I assumed was Greg. She'd cut her hair short. It made her look older, or maybe she just was older. We all were. The play was terrible in the way all middle school plays are terrible. Jake had 4 lines as guard number 2. He delivered them competently, forgot to bow, shuffled off stage. I clapped anyway. During intermission, Amanda turned around. Our eyes met. She looked away first. After the play, in the parking lot, she approached me. Greg hung back, giving us space. Tyler. Amanda. Silence. What do you say to someone who used to be your entire world and is now just the person you coordinate custody schedules with? Jake was good, she finally said. He was. Emma told me you're coaching soccer this year. Yeah, she's got a good foot. Takes after you. Amanda smiled. Small. Sad. She takes after you. The determination. More silence. I'm sorry, she said quietly. I know I've said it before, but I need to say it again. I'm sorry for what I did. For all of it. I looked at her. Really looked. Saw the lines around her eyes that hadn't been there 4 years ago. The weight she'd lost. The way she held herself differently. Smaller, more careful. Okay, I said. That's it? Just okay? What do you want me to say, Amanda? That I forgive you? That I understand? I don't. I probably never will. She nodded, blinked rapidly. I just want you to know that I regret it. Every day. I threw away the best thing in my life because I was selfish and stupid and… Stop! I kept my voice level. You made your choices. I made mine. We're here now. That's all there is. Is it enough? For you? I thought about Emma's question, about the empty side of my bed, about the life I'd built from the ruins of the one she'd destroyed. It has to be, I said. Greg called her name. She glanced back, then turned to me one last time. I hope you find someone, Tyler. Someone who deserves you. Take care of yourself, Amanda. She walked away. I watched her go, felt nothing but a distant ache, like a bone that had broken years ago and healed wrong. That night, after the kids were asleep, I sat on the back porch with a beer and looked at the stars. I'd learned something in the 4 years since I'd found that burner phone. Betrayal doesn't destroy you all at once. It's not a single catastrophic event. It's a slow erosion, a gradual realization that the foundation you built your life on was always sand. But here's what they don't tell you about betrayal. You survive it anyway. Not because you're strong or brave, or because you have some deep reservoir of resilience. You survive it because you have to. Because there are kids who need breakfast and soccer practice and help with homework. Because there are bills to pay and jobs to show up for and a life that keeps moving forward whether you're ready or not. You survive it because the alternative is giving someone who already took so much the power to take everything. Amanda had taught me that trust is a gift, not a right. That love without honesty is just elaborate pretending. That sometimes the person sleeping next to you is a stranger wearing a familiar face. Hard lessons, expensive ones, but I'd learned them, and I'd made sure my kids would never have to learn them the same way. Emma and Jake would grow up knowing that actions have consequences, that integrity matters more than excitement. That boring and steady and predictable aren't insults. They're the foundation of a life you can actually build on. Maybe that made me cynical. Maybe it made me damaged. Or maybe it just made me careful. I finished my beer, went inside, locked the door behind me. Upstairs, I checked on both kids. Emma sprawled across her bed with a book on her chest. Jake curled up with his soccer ball on the pillow beside him. My family. Smaller than it used to be. Scarred by what we'd been through. But ours. Real. Built on truth instead of lies. In the end, that was enough. Not the life I'd planned. Not the happily ever after I'd believed in when I'd said, I do, 14 years ago. But it was honest. And after everything, honesty was the only thing that mattered. I turned off the lights and went to bed, alone but not lonely, broken but not defeated. Surviving, moving forward, winning in the only way that counts, by refusing to let betrayal define the rest of my story. The burner phone was long gone, buried in a landfill somewhere. But the lesson it taught me remained. Trust is earned through consistency, not words. And some people will never earn it back, no matter how sorry they claim to be. Amanda was one of those people, and I was okay with that.